Back in May, I released a video of every major 2023 roller coaster that we knew of so far. Not only was I the first to really make a video about this topic, but at the time, a lot of the new attractions that are getting a lot of buzz now weren't back then. Likewise, there were many new ride additions that had not yet been announced, and that's why I'm back with a new iteration of that video. I want to talk about every major new coaster set to debut in 2023, ordered from A to Z. I'll be filling you in on all of the exciting stuff we have to look forward to next season, as well as reiterating what I had to say about the coasters that we already knew about in May, only with more detailed information. At the time I'm recording this video, it is December 2022, so I highly doubt we'll be getting even more major coaster announcements. I suppose it's possible, but for the most part, this list is final. Oh, and for those of you wondering, I will also be ranking my most anticipated 2023 roller coasters in a future video. But for now, let's just run down the list of every major coaster opening across the globe in 2023. Up first, let's talk about American Dryer Looping opening soon at Indiana Beach. This is a relocated Schwarzkopf triple loop coaster that came from a park called La Feria Chapultepec, Mexico in Mexico City. Due to poor maintenance on the park's behalf, the ride, formerly known as Chimera, suffered a fatal accident resulting in 2 deaths and 5 injuries. After La Feria announced the permanent closure of the ride and park as a whole, Indiana Beach relocated Chimera to their premises and tackled a restoration project that would restore the ride to its former glory while also offering a completely safe experience. The project has taken longer than what was originally expected, but it looks like it'll finally open next year and will become Indiana Beach's first new major coaster in 15 years. Another delayed attraction debuting next year is Aquaman Power Wave at Six Flags Over Texas. This will be the first Mach Rides Power Splash model in the United States. I got to ride one of the few that exists worldwide this year, and it was really fun. That one's called Pulsar at Walibi, Belgium, which I'm sure will be a great fit for this park given how hot it can get over in Texas. Aquaman was originally supposed to open back in 2020, but like many other attractions, it was delayed until 2021 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. But then, Six Flags Over Texas seemingly out of nowhere announced that they'd be investing further in a turntable system that could increase the ride's capacity before it opens. While I do think this was the right move for the park, it is frustrating that they didn't decide that sooner since the ride has been delayed for a very long time and will set back this park's new coaster cycle for many more years. Up next is a ride that's actually being built at my home park, and that's Arctic Rescue coming to SeaWorld San Diego. This is an Intamin family launch coaster very much in the style of Wavebreaker the Rescue Coaster at SeaWorld San Antonio in Texas. Arctic Rescue will reuse the space where the old simulator ride Wild Arctic used to be located, and I'm sure it'll be a much better experience. With 3 tire launches, 2 90-degree bank turns, and lots of fun transitions, this is sure to be a great attraction for all families to enjoy. Arguably the most anticipated new coaster opening next year is Air Force One at Fun Spot America Atlanta. This is a super small park in Georgia that before the addition of this coaster had a little family coaster and a kids coaster. That's it. Needless to say, the entire coaster enthusiast community was shocked when they announced this absolutely mind-blowing ride by Rocky Mountain Construction. RMC is a manufacturer that made a name for themselves by transforming old rough wood coasters to smooth, innovative hybrid coasters. But for parks that don't have a wooden coaster for RMC to come in and renovate, they also offer parks ground-up projects. Air Force One happens to be one of those ground-up projects, and as a result, it's allowing RMC to get really creative with the layout. They are including some absolutely insane elements on here, including 4 inversions, tons of airtime moments, and much more. This little park already has me looking at a Georgia trip next season because Air Force One looks absolutely mental. Our first new coaster outside of America is Gotham City Escape coming to Parque Warner Madrid for the 2023 season. This Spanish theme park hasn't received a new roller coaster in 14 years, and it's been even longer since they got a major thrill coaster. But I think it's safe to say that the wait will absolutely be worth it once this Intamin multi-launch coaster makes its grand debut. Themed to Batman, this ride will be a well-themed experience with a boatload of incredible elements. We're looking at 3 launches, a backward spike, 4 inversions, and a drop that goes way beyond vertical. For my Velocicoaster fans out there, keep a lookout for some reviews of this coaster since the 2 rides share a lot of similarities. One of my favorite theme parks, Dollywood, will be making their largest investment ever next year with Big Bear Mountain. Despite the high price tag, this will not be a thrill ride, but will actually be a family coaster that I think teens and adults will be able to enjoy alike. Manufactured by Vekoma, this triple launch coaster will have a track length of 3,900 feet, making it a very long ride, and it'll have some unique elements like onboard audio and working headlights. I know some were upset that Big Bear Mountain wasn't some big new coaster, but I think it makes a lot of sense for the park given their target audience. Bombay Express coming to Bollywood Parks Dubai is one that we're not exactly sure when it'll be opening. It originally started testing in November 2021, so I think it was a safe bet that it would open in 2022. But as we kept seeing test runs throughout the year, there was no word from the park about an opening date. Whatever the case, this will be a huge GCI wood coaster, the first of its kind in the Middle East. In addition, Bollywood Parks Dubai claims that Bombay Express will have more airtime than any other roller coaster in the world. I'm not sure how much I buy into that, but what I will buy into is the fact that this will be an awesome ride when it eventually opens. Choco Chip Creek is a new-gen Vekoma mine train coaster opening alongside another Vekoma Junior coaster at Poland's Energylandia. It's not too notable of an addition since the park already has plenty of family coasters, but it does look like one of the better mine trains out there. The more prominent addition at this park next year does not currently have a name or a theme, but it's going to be a new-gen Vekoma tilt coaster. It is also possible that this opens in 2024, but RCDB still has it under a 2023 opening, so that's what I'm going with for this video. This tilt coaster will have some pretty crazy elements like a twisted vertical drop, a reversing camelback, triple down, and so much more. We'll have to wait to hear more about this one before we have any idea of how good it'll actually be, but having ridden most of the modern Vekomas out in Europe, I'm sure it'll be a great ride. While we're on the topic of Energylandia's tilt coaster, I also want to shout out Circuit Breaker coming to Codaland in Texas. Again, we're not exactly sure if this one will be opening in 2023 or 2024. However, whichever it is, I'm sure it'll be worth the wait. This will be the first large-scale modern Vekoma to come to the United States, and what a first it'll be. There has never been a tilt coaster built on this side of the world before, so the concept is completely foreign to us American enthusiasts. It packs in some awesome elements in its short but sweet layout, and I can't wait to ride it. Speaking of Codaland, we do know of one coaster that is certain to debut next year, and that's Palindrome. This Gerstlauer Infinity coaster fits its namesake perfectly with its forwards-backwards dynamic. This one will have some unique features like a zero-G stall that goes over a road, a quick roll, and what the park is calling a vertical hop stall. For those of you less informed, Codaland is a very new and up-and-coming park, so it's great to see them investing in all of this capital. I look forward to taking the trip to Austin either next year or in 2024 to check out these spectacular new additions. Up next is Dart Coaster coming to Busch Gardens Williamsburg. This is the sister ride to Arctic Rescue at SeaWorld San Diego because it too will be an Intamin family launch coaster opening in 2023. However, they do share many differences, with Dart Coaster being located entirely indoors. The new attraction will be occupying the building that housed the old Dark Castle Dark Ride, and considering the fact that SeaWorld doesn't seem to be interested in maintaining or building any dark rides, I think this is the best path they could have chosen for this plot of land. Dart Coaster will have 2 launches, but due to a switch track, riders will experience each of these launches twice, culminating a total of 4 launches traversed on Dart Coaster. It's also expected to be decked out in theming, which is probably going to make the ride for a lot of people. Flying Viking is a new Zamperla family coaster also intertwined with a Zamperla log flume attraction, which will be opening at Iowa's Adventureland next season. We saw the same package open in Luna Park at Coney Island this year, and it seems to have done well there, so why not add it to Adventureland? Since the park lost their Rapids ride a few years back, they've been desperately in need of a water ride. So not only is the coaster going to be a welcome addition, but the log flume will as well. A rather mysterious one that no one seems to be talking about is Gozimba at Serengeti Park in southern Germany. This first of its kind attraction by Ride Engineer Switzerland seems to combine a roller coaster with Gerstlauer Sky Roller flat ride. You'll have these wings on either side of your seat that I'd imagine will be used to flip your seats throughout the layout. It's a very peculiar and weird concept that may or may not work well, so we'll have to keep our eyes out on this one. A new theme park encompassing 2 roller coasters will be debuting at Arizona's Mattel Adventure Park next year. Both by chance rides, the first and smaller of the 2 will be a family coaster called Bone Shaker. We recently saw the trains and layout unveiled at IAAPA this year, and it looks like a fun family coaster. I'd imagine it to be a pretty similar experience to the Nickelodeon Slime Street coaster over at the American Dream Mall in New Jersey. The second new coaster, and the reason Arizona will probably be put on the map for many coaster enthusiasts, is because they will be getting a Chance Rides Hyper GTX model. This one will be very different from the original Lightning Run at Kentucky Kingdom, which by the way is a great ride. The new coaster will be called Twin Mill Racer and will feature a launch and seems to be more focused on inversions than airtime, which is interesting given that Lightning Run does not have any inversions. Now don't get me wrong, it should still mix in some airtime moments, which is why the diversity of the layout is pretty exciting to me. It's great to see some new stuff open in my neighboring state. Up next are 2 new Vekoma coasters opening in Sweden next year. The first is at a small park called Furtavik, which are building their largest attraction to date, a family multi-launch coaster that looks pretty awesome for sure. Unfortunately, we don't know a whole lot about this one, so I can't comment too much about the ride experience, but it looks like a great time and a spectacular fit for this park. The other new Swedish Vekoma coaster is Luna at Liseberg. This is a Vekoma family boomerang model and most likely the largest one ever built. If you look at the concept art pictured here, it's really no surprise and the stats really back that up. 110 feet tall is pretty impressive for one of these rides, so I look forward to seeing how Luna plays out next year. Our first new coaster addition in China is Mad Racers at Fantasy Valley. This is an amusement park that opened just this year, and they're most commonly known amongst coaster enthusiasts for Da Vinci Ride, one of the largest B&M wing coasters ever built. But to complement Da Vinci Ride will be a new GCI wooden coaster that mirrors the layout of American Thunder at Six Flags St. Louis. While not my favorite GCI, it's definitely a nice long ride with plenty of airtime moments. I'm sure it'll be a welcome addition to this park and will only add to the impressive wooden roller coaster collection over in China. Matugani is a new intimate accelerator coaster at Lost Island theme park in Iowa. This is another new theme park that opened this past season, but without their signature attraction in operation. The coaster in question was the former Kanonen roller coaster at the aforementioned Liseberg in Sweden. While it is a small-scale intimate accelerator coaster, it's cool that we're finally seeing another one of those come to the United States. Matugani features a super compact layout with 2 inversions, a top hat, and a hydraulic launch, taking riders from 0 to 47 miles per hour in 2 seconds. Mission Ferrari at Ferrari World Abu Dhabi is one that we've been waiting to open for a long time now. This dynamic attraction's SFX coaster has been delayed for years, but I think it might just be worth it. From what we know of so far, the ride will have 5 LSM launches and a handful of inversions. There's also the potential for some super unique track elements like a tilt track, drop track, seesaw section, and more. It's just hard to tell right now since we don't know what it looks like on the inside of the building. Now, earlier in the video, we talked about the now closed Chimera at La Feria Chapultepec, Mexico in Mexico City. Because of the ride's fatal accident, the park gets located and permanently closed in 2019. However, it will be making a resurgence in 2023 under new ownership, and part of that revitalization is a new family inverted coaster by Vekoma. This will be called Mistral, and while we don't know a whole lot about the layout, I do think it's a bit of an odd choice for this park. The nearby Cataplume amusement park, also in Mexico City, already has a Vekoma family invert called Insomnio. I think it would have made more sense for the park to invest in a different Vekoma roller coaster like a family boomerang or a family launch coaster. But either way, I'm glad to see new life come to this park and a new coaster coming with it. Legoland Deutschland, located in Bavaria, will be getting the first roller coaster by B&M ever to be introduced to a Legoland park. This will be called the Mythica coaster and will be a super small wing coaster with 2 inversions and a few helixes. While it does look pretty tame, I low-key think this ride looks adorable, so I'll have to give it a shot the next time I'm in Germany. Pipeline the Surf Coaster will be the world's first B&M surf coaster and will be SeaWorld Orlando's 4th roller coaster by B&M. It's one of the most interesting new additions next year, not only because it's a prototype, but because of its unique stand-up trains that bounce in conjunction with any vertical forces applied to riders. It doesn't look like a super thrilling ride overall, but I think that's fine since the other 3 B&Ms at SeaWorld Orlando are high-intensity attractions. Pipeline is sure to offer a unique and innovative ride experience in 2023. Primordial at Lagoon in Utah is a ride we've been waiting to experience for years now. I remember seeing this on people's most anticipated 2020 and 2021 coasters list, so knowing it's finally making its grand debut next year is pretty exciting stuff. We don't know a whole lot about this coaster overall, but judging by the name, we can probably expect some dinosaur theming within the ride's man-made mountain. Since Primordial is a collaborative effort between Lagoon's in-house team as well as art engineering, I'd imagine it to be a somewhat similar ride experience to Wonder Mountain's Guardian at Canada's Wonderland. Speaking of Canada's Wonderland, they too will be receiving a new roller coaster next year, meaning they will have a ridiculous 18 coasters as of 2023. Snoopy's Racing Railway will be an art engineering family launch coaster and will be an identical layout to the recently built Fridolin Vollector's Zauber Express at Phantasiana in Austria. I feel as if the new addition has fallen under the radar, but it really does look like an exceptional family coaster. Then again, Phantasiana chooses to run their family coaster with 2 laps around the layout, and Canada's Wonderland could very well run theirs with 1. Either way, I haven't seen anyone talk about this addition, and I'm honestly pretty excited about it. I definitely think it'll push the park's Planet Snoopy section over Kings Islands as the best children's area by the Golden Ticket Awards. Storm the Dragon Legend is a fascinating launched inverted coaster coming to Tusenfryd, Norway's premier amusement park. This will be built by Gerstlauer, which is rather interesting in itself. This makes Storm their first large-scale invert ever and first invert with a launch. It'll be a multi-pass launch at that, making 3 back-and-forth accelerations before making its way through 3 inversions. Tusenfryd is a park that I already had some interest in visiting, but knowing that they're adding this thing in, it's making me even more eager to want to visit. Up next is my most anticipated new coaster opening in 2023, and that's Two Tautis at Parc Astérix in France. This new Intamin multi-launch coaster looks absolutely incredible. It'll use the same swing launch bunny hill section as Pantheon at Busch Gardens Williamsburg, and in totality it looks like that coaster beefed up further, which, considering the fact that Pantheon already cracks my top 15, means this has a chance at being the best launch coaster ever built. The park is advertising 23 airtime points, a drop angle of 101 degrees, and a track length of 3,500 feet, which is even more impressive considering the fact that the swing launch is only counted once in the overall track length. I know everyone is busy thinking about Airy Force 1 and the new RMC coming to Hershey Park, but I wouldn't be surprised if Two Tautis was actually the best coaster to open next year. Over at the Walt Disney World Resort, we have the long-awaited Tron Light Cycle run at Magic Kingdom. This is a clone of the ever-so-popular Tron Light Cycle Power Run at Shanghai Disneyland and is probably the most intense coaster Disney's ever built. With the 60-mile-per-hour launch and some impeccable theming, Tron will be an absolutely phenomenal addition to this park. It's really that new modern attraction that I think they've needed for so long. The Portaventura Resort in Spain will be investing 25 million euros next year in a new intimate multi-dimension coaster at the main Portaventura park. This will be called Uncharted and will be themed to the movie franchise of the same name. We're looking at some pretty crazy stats for an indoor family coaster, with 5 launches and a reversing spike. Since this one was announced so recently, we don't know a ton about the layout or what elements it could have, but I'm very much looking forward to it regardless. Hong Kong Disneyland is a park that's been quietly building their Frozen Land for a number of years now, and it looks like it'll finally be opening in 2023. As a part of the new themed area, Wandering Oaken's Sliding Sleigh will become the park's 4th roller coaster. This is a Vekoma mine train of some sorts that we know very little details about. I wouldn't expect it to be intense at all given its theme and because of its short track length of under 1,000 feet. That said, it's great to see some investment at the smallest Disney castle park anywhere in the world. A new coaster that was just announced a few weeks ago that no one seems to be talking about is Wiener Looping, coming to Austria's Wiener Prater next year. This will be the world's 3rd Mach Rides Big Dipper coaster, but this one will be drastically different from the others that currently exist. This one seems to be more similar to a Gerstlauer Infinity or Eurofighter than a Mach coaster. We currently know of a steep drop with a holding brake similar to Hang Time at Knott's Berry Farm, as well as a banana roll and finish loop, which are both elements found almost exclusively on Gerstlauer coasters. One of the big new attractions everyone seems to be talking about is the recently announced Wildcat's Revenge at Hershey Park. This will be the long-awaited RMC conversion of the former Wildcat wooden coaster, a ride that suffered from rough track work and unpopularity. This new ride will raise its height 34 feet and will also tack on 4 inversions, tons of airtime moments, and an ultra-smooth tracking. I've always said that Hershey Park already had one of the greatest lineups of coasters in the world, but the fact that they're now getting an RMC to complement all of their other rides is absolutely amazing. Over at Cedar Point, America's roller coaster capital, we're looking at a new Zamperla Wild Mouse coaster that pays homage to their original Wild Mouse that operated from 1959 to 1963. This will be the first new family coaster added to Cedar Point in decades, so it's actually not a half-bad fit. Probably the most comical aspect of this ride is the fact that it'll have 6 cars that resemble mice and 1 that resembles a block of cheese. I think that'll add a lot of character to the ride and will make the off-ride viewing experience a memorable one for sure. Like the Wild Mouse, Zambezi Zinger, coming to Worlds of Fun in Kansas City, will also be paying homage to a now closed attraction that operated under the same name. The former Zambezi Zinger was a beloved Schwarzkopf jumbo jet that operated from 1973 to 1997. The new reimagined Zambezi Zinger will become the first wooden roller coaster to utilize a spiral lift hill just as the old attraction did. To facilitate this, along with its more extreme elements, GCI, the ride's manufacturer, will be installing their steel Titan track to the coaster. At first glance, this is a bit of a weird fit for this park since they already have a GCI named Prowler, but as time goes on, it has grown on me quite a bit. Zambezi Zinger is a huge deal for Worlds of Fun because it's the first time they've received a new roller coaster since 2009. I'm sure I'll be making a return trip to Worlds of Fun in the near future because Zambezi Zinger looks like an awesome excuse to go back. Now, there are a bunch of rides currently without names, so I couldn't group them into alphabetical order. I'll run through these real quick even though we know less about these than the other ones on this list. First, there's another one of those Dynamic Attractions SFX coasters, this time coming to the recently opened Genting Skyworlds in Malaysia. Now this one's interesting because it's been confirmed that it'll feature 3 launches, 2 inversions, and 4 so-called tricks. We don't know what these tricks could be, but like with Mission Ferrari at Ferrari World, I wouldn't be surprised if we could see maybe a tilt track, drop track, or seesaw section included in the layout. In 2021, we saw the world's first Vekoma Top Gun models open in China, with another following in 2022. But it seems that 2 more will be built at some of the Fantawild locations throughout the country. This newly introduced coaster model features a launch, a non-inverting top hat, lots of quick transitions, inversions, and etc. It looks like a great time, and I hope we can see one of these come to the US, maybe at a Six Flags park at some point in the future. SeaWorld Abu Dhabi is a new indoor theme park being built in the United Arab Emirates, and it's a project we've been waiting to hear more about for quite a while. The new park will be operated by SeaWorld Entertainment but owned by a different company and will feature 2 roller coasters. There's a Zamperla Junior coaster and, more importantly, an Intamin Blitz coaster. We've seen the layout of this one before, but it looks like a super fun ride. I'd imagine it to be in the style of Cheetah Hunt at Busch Gardens Tampa versus something like Maverick at Cedar Point. There will be 3 LSM launches, a handful of inversions, and a pretty long ride time from what I can tell. Over at Niagara Amusement Park in New York, formerly known as Fantasy Island, the recently reopened park is looking to open a Schwarzkopf shuttle loop coaster that previously ran at La Feria Chapultepec, Mexico as Cascabel 2.0. This follows in the footsteps of Indiana Beach, which is also relocating a Schwarzkopf roller coaster from that park to theirs. This makes a lot of sense as both properties are owned and operated by IB Parks and Entertainment, a company led by businessman Gene Staples. In addition to this new launch coaster, they will also be building an SDC Galaxy coaster to further complement their ride lineup. A Vekoma Hyper Space Warp model will be making its way to Fanta Wild in Jiangsu for the 2023 season. There have already been 3 of these that have opened in China, and it's been a great success for those parks. The Hyper Space Warp model is the reenactment of the Space Warp model, with the only difference being the inclusion of a lift hill instead of a launch and an extended portion of the layout at the end of the ride. Another Vekoma coaster coming to a Fanta Wild park in China is the first ever Super Boomerang model. While this is the manufacturer's modern take to the old Boomerang, it truly does not resemble the old ride at all. There will be 2 vertical spikes, a launch, several inversions, and the iconic backwards element thrown in for good measure. This is a really weird looking ride, but I think it looks super fun. A new B&M wing coaster will be making its way to Chessington Worlds of Adventure in the United Kingdom, and I know a lot of British enthusiasts that are really looking forward to this one. Because not only will it be Chessington's first new coaster in 19 years, but it'll also be the most unique wing coaster ever built by B&M. This will become one of the manufacturer's only launch coasters and will have a shuttle coaster layout. Themed to Jumanji, the ride should also have some great tropical landscaping and rockwork to make the experience feel more complete. The most recently announced new for 2023 edition is a pair of Skyline Attractions' new Pescetti Bowl family coasters heading to Six Flags Fiesta Texas. This was a shock to many, seeing as the park just opened Dr. Diabolical's Cliffhanger last year, but as if the park couldn't get any better, there's now a super unique dueling coaster heading their way. This will be the first racing coaster in the state of Texas, and oddly enough, the park's second single rail coaster. Of all the Six Flags parks that could have received this edition, Fiesta Texas would not have been my first guess, but I can't complain because it looks like it'll be a pretty fun ride. The last new coasters I want to discuss are rides that were originally set to open in 2022 that we currently have no further updates on. Barracuda at Ocean Happy World in China is essentially the modern equivalent to Fahrenheit at Hershey Park. It uses the same vertical lift beyond vertical drop design, but with a larger, more drawn-out layout including 5 different inversions. Beyond the Clouds is the name of the new Mach Rides launch coaster coming to Suzhou Forest World, also in China. This is one of the largest roller coasters Mach Rides has ever built, and I know it's been the main topic of discussion when it comes to new Chinese coasters, at least here in America. The ride will reach a max speed of 81 miles per hour, will feature a 205-foot top hat, and will have 5 inversions. These include the most interlocked inversions on a coaster, with the Cobra Rail and vertical loop being intertwined with one another, as well as the fastest inversion in the world, stealing the record from Max Force at Six Flags Great America. Blue Fire is another new Mach Rides launch coaster coming to Suzhou Paradise. Also in China, this is of course a clone of Blue Fire Mega Coaster at Europa Park, which I had the chance to ride this past summer and thought it was a really fun ride. The more of these, the better. Project Zero is what is being referred to as the relocated Mauer Skyloop from Dreamworld in Australia to Goombaya World, also in Australia. Formerly known as Buzzsaw, it's great to see this small family park bring this ride back to life. Mauer Skyloops are so rare and so much fun, so it would have sucked losing another one of those. To wrap up the video, there are many standing but not operating projects in China that we really don't know the status of, but I think the one that still deserves some discussion is the new Nickelodeon Universe Park located within the Mall of China. This new indoor theme park will open with 4 roller coasters, but by far the most relevant is Turbo Turtle Power, a massive new Intamin launch coaster. This insane layout will have 8 inversions and will probably follow in the footsteps of TMNT Shellraiser at Nickelodeon Universe New Jersey, and featuring a launch and a lift hill. But we'll have to wait and see. For now, those are all of the upcoming 2023 roller coasters opening around the world. Let me know which of these new rides you're most excited to experience. I look forward to making my own list of the top 25 most anticipated 2023 coasters, but the truth is all of these look pretty awesome. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon. Bye guys.